In September 2022, a certified letter arrived at the restaurant during afternoon prep. Rafael read it in the back office, still in his chef's whites, while his kitchen ran behind him. The new building owner was exercising their right to renegotiate the lease. The proposed new monthly rent was $26,000. The current rent was $8,500. Rafael's restaurant had been awarded a Michelin-Star 11 months earlier. Annual revenue was $2,800,000. The wait list for a table ran 3 months. When the restaurant closed on the 31st of December 2022, Rafael had $187,000 in remaining SBA loan debt personally guaranteed and $67,000 less in his savings account than he'd had 12 months before. I'm Margot. This is Burn Rate. File 005. How one of the most recognized restaurants in its city closed not because the food failed, not because the customers left, but because of a paragraph in a lease. Rafael grew up in San Antonio. His grandmother ran a home kitchen that fed the neighborhood on weekends. His mother worked double shifts at a diner through his childhood. He enrolled in a culinary program in Houston at 19, graduated second in his class, and spent the next 12 years working in other people's kitchens. At 34, Rafael was the sous chef at a fine dining restaurant in Chicago. He was earning $81,000 a year. He had been someone else's second for 12 years. He said the decision to open his own restaurant was not ambition. It was arithmetic. He had already learned everything he was going to learn working for someone else. Rafael applied for 2 SBA loans through a community development lender in Chicago. The combined approval was $403,000. He signed the paperwork in April 2017. The key clause, the one he would later describe as the most important document in his professional life, was the personal guarantee. If the business defaulted, Rafael was personally liable for the full outstanding balance. The restaurant opened in a leased space in Chicago's West Loop in February 2018. 42 seats, a tasting menu. Reservations opened 2 weeks before launch and filled within 4 hours. Rafael and Sophia, his wife, who managed the front of house, worked 16-hour days for the first 6 months. In November 2019, the restaurant received a Culinary Guide's Bib Gourmand designation. In October 2021, after a service pause during the pandemic, it received a full star. Rafael was in the walk-in cooler when his phone rang with the news. He said he sat on a produce box for 10 minutes before he went back to service. By early 2022, the restaurant was running at 94% occupancy. Annual revenue had reached $2,800,000. The wait list ran 3 months. Rafael and Sophia were each drawing a salary of $120,000. The business, after all expenses and loan repayments, was netting approximately $140,000 per year. In March 2022, a for sale sign appeared on the building that housed the restaurant. Rafael's lease ran through December 2022. He had a renewal clause, but not a locked rent rate. He called his attorney. The attorney said, "Pay close attention to who buys this building." The building sold in July 2022 to a real estate development group. In September, the certified letter arrived. The new owner was exercising their right to renegotiate terms at lease renewal. Proposed new monthly rent, $26,000, a 105% increase. Rafael had 60 days to respond. A brief note on restaurant economics. The average net profit margin for a fine dining restaurant in the United States is between 3 and 9% of revenue. On $2,800,000, Rafael's restaurant netted 5%, $140,000 per year. His current rent represented 3.6% of revenue. The proposed rent would represent 11.1%. Most restaurant financial models treat rent above 10% of revenue as a structural risk. At $26,000 a month, Rafael's annual rent would be $312,000 more, then double his annual net profit of $140,000. After rent, the restaurant would operate at a loss of $172,000 per year. There was no realistic path to covering that gap at 42 seats on a tasting menu in any scenario that maintained the restaurant's identity. Rafael met with the new building owner's representative twice. He brought revenue statements, occupancy data, and a counter-proposal, $12,000 a month, phased to $14,000 over 3 years. At the second meeting, the representative said the ownership group had received expressions of interest from national restaurant groups at or above the asking price. The counter-proposal was declined. Rafael began searching for a new location in October 2022. He needed at minimum 1,600 square feet with commercial kitchen infrastructure in a neighborhood that could support a tasting menu at his price point on a 10-year lease at below $15,000 a month. His commercial real estate broker said, "That property does not exist in this market right now." Over 10 weeks, Rafael toured 23 properties. He made offers on 3. All 3 fell through one over lease terms. One, because the required infrastructure needed a full gut renovation he couldn't finance. And one because the landlord withdrew the listing when a national chain expressed interest at a higher rate. There was a specific irony in Rafael's situation. The star recognition, he said, was the reason the new landlord tripled the rent. The recognition that proved the restaurant's quality also signaled to the market that the location was valuable, not because of the building, but because of what was inside it. The success made him a target. In November, Rafael's attorney sent formal notice of his intention not to renew the lease at the proposed rate. The restaurant's final service date was set for the 31st of December 2022. Rafael had 14 employees. He told each one individually in a private conversation before making any public announcement. The restaurant announced its closure publicly on December 1st. The final 31 days of service sold out within 40 minutes of the announcement. Rafael said he cooked every night of that final month at the same level he had cooked every night for 4 years. He said he didn't know how to do it any other way. The final service was December 31st. Rafael said the kitchen ran a perfect service. Every ticket in on time, every course to standard. At 11:47 p.m., he plated the last dish of his restaurant's existence, a dessert he had served since opening night, and sent it out through the pass. At midnight, Rafael turned off the kitchen lights. He and Sophia stood in the dining room empty now, staff saying their goodbyes in the back. Sophia said she reached for his hand. He said he was looking at the table in the far corner, a two-top that had been occupied nearly every Friday night for 3 years by the same couple. The table was clean and set, waiting. On the 2nd of January 2023, the kitchen equipment was inventoried for sale. The lease was formally terminated. The space was handed back to the building owner. The culinary guide removed the restaurant from its listings in its next update standard procedure for closed establishments. The financial accounting took 6 weeks, The SBA loan balance at closure was $187,000, personally guaranteed. An equipment liquidation auction raised $43,200 applied to the balance. The remaining personal debt, $143,800. The personal guarantee is the detail most people miss when they think about small business loans. It means the debt does not stay with the business entity when the business closes. It follows the individual. Rafael's LLC ceased to exist on January 15th. Rafael's personal obligation did not. The equipment auction was held January 14th. 14 years of professional cookware, a customized 6-burner range, a walk-in cooler and refrigeration system, small wares, everything Rafael had selected and cooked on for 4 years. The auction cleared $43,200. He had invested $178,000 in the kitchen build-out. Rafael and Sophia moved to a smaller city in the spring of 2023. Sophia took a position as a hospitality manager at a hotel. Rafael began consulting menu development, kitchen organization, operational review for restaurants he identified as structurally sound with long-term leases in secondary markets with lower commercial real estate pressure. By the end of 2023, Rafael had paid down $41,000 of the remaining debt through consulting income. He said the consulting work confirmed something he had suspected. The skills required to run a great restaurant are not the same as the skills required to protect one. He knew how to cook. He was still learning how to own. Rafael is 42 now. He and Sophia have no plans to open a restaurant in the next 2 to 3 years. He said the idea is not gone, but the next version will look different. A smaller space, owned if possible, with a lease if there is one of 15 years or nothing. What Rafael's story holds is the specific risk of building something excellent on ground you do not own. The restaurant industry is not unusual in this regard. Most small businesses lease their space. What is unusual is how rarely the lease terms are treated with the same rigor as the business model. The quality of the food did not protect him. The lease terms could have. There are approximately 500,000 restaurants in the United States. The majority are independent operators. The majority lease their space. The lease termination or non-renewal rate for independent restaurants is not tracked as a standalone statistic, but everyone in the industry knows someone to whom it has happened, usually more than one. Rafael told me one thing he would negotiate differently. He said, I would have made the lease non-negotiable. Not the concept, not the menu, not the size of the space, the lease. I would have walked away from any property where I couldn't get a 15-year term with a capped annual increase. He said, the food is the risk I want to take. The lease is not. If you operate a business in a leased space restaurant, retail, studio, clinic, office, and your lease expires in the next 5 years without a renewal rate cap, this episode is asking you to read that document tonight. Not your menu, not your financials, the lease. The paragraph that ends your business will not be in the food section. I'm Margot. This was File 005. File 006 is next Tuesday. The social media creator who built a $1.2 million business and spent every dollar of it before the algorithm changed. See you then.